Welcome, everyone, to the Everyday Gnostic Guide to Holistic Living. On today's episode, we will go over our guide to internal and external influences. As mentioned in an earlier episode, one of the main types of relationships that we participate in is the one with the external world. Today, we are going to explore this a little bit further because, as we'll see, once we are able to balance our internal psychological state with all external events, then we can safely say that we truly know how to live wisely. In order to intelligently deal with any external demand, the proper corresponding internal psychological state, however, when people evaluate the events of their lives, most of the time, they only think that their life is exclusively created by external events and influences and pay no attention to how their internal psychological state plays a huge role in the outcome. Most people tend to think that if this or that event had never happened to them, their lives would have turned out much better in one way or another. Most ignore that the result of what we experience when we are encountering an external event corresponds and is dependent on the internal psychological state we find ourselves at the time of the encounter. What this ends up meaning for us is that it doesn't matter how wonderful or disagreeable the external events of life might be or might seem to be. If we are not in the appropriate internal state at the right moment, the things that we experience might not be processed by us in the most appropriate manner. Let's illustrate what I mean. Let's think about how a bride anxiously awaits her wedding day as the greatest event of her life. Nevertheless, it could be that she is so concerned about the opinion of her guests, so worried about the details of the wedding and everything going right, that she finds herself in a constant internal state of anxiety and worry through the entire event. This person would find herself unable to pull from the constant worry, and instead, what would have considered to be the happiest day of her life, well, it would end up associating her wedding day with a feeling of worry, anxiety, and distress. In the worst case, she might end up associating this event with a traumatic event. In contrast, someone who is able to assimilate an external event, an internal state in a proper way, would be able to lay to rest any troubling thoughts. He or she would be able to approach potential grumblings and misgivings from the guests as a simple fact of life that can be avoided but shouldn't have enough influence over them to ruin her wedding day. This person would be able to feel an extreme sense of joy and happiness because, it's their wedding day. People who know how to consciously combine the external events with the appropriate internal states are very, very rare. It is unfortunate that people do not know how to consciously live. We cry when we should laugh, and we laugh when we should cry. Every day we see people that are not only unhappy, but furthermore, and what is even worse, they make others people's life miserable as well. Nevertheless, these people think of themselves as just. They perceive themselves virtuous, noble, helpful. They even see themselves as martyrs. People like that are adapted to living with inferior emotions. Disgraceful events like the setback of fortune, misery, deaths, problem are the exclusive property of those types of people who do not know how to live happy. Anyone can acquire rich intellectual life, yet few are those who have learned to live in a constructive and positive manner. When one wants to separate external events from internal states of consciousness, one demonstrates concretely his ability of existing in a dignified way. Those who learn how to consciously combine external events with internal states, they are the ones marching on the path to success. With that, we conclude today's message, wishing you all a wonderful and abundant life.